The first thing about using a camera is to check all the equipment. Make sure you've got all your leads, your tripod, and that the batteries for the camera are charged. Now that they are charged, the next bit is about preparation. Along the lines of preparation, it's always good to have a plan. Sometimes it can just be a simple piece of paper with a list of the things that you want to shoot. But be prepared. Know what the angles are going to be.
It is best when planning your filming to be very conservative about the amount of shots that you actually record. This will save you a tremendous amount of time in post-production or editing. In a big movie like Titanic, they storyboarded each shot to make sure they knew which angle they wanted, which situation they wanted covered, so that they could be very organized on their shooting days. Lots of time is spent planning productions in order to save time.
Another key tip is framing. If you're shooting something and you've got somebody in the foreground, make sure you know what's in the background. If I stand over here, the lamppost may come out of my head. Again, always keep your eye on what's in the background. If the tripod isn't set properly, everything looks like it's on the squiff. Always frame it up with the side of the frames, the frame of the video there. So if you frame it up like this, it begins to look a great deal better.
To get your frame level, use the viewfinder on the edge of the screen level with anything that you know is vertical. By the way, don't zoom in and out too quickly. That's very upsetting for the viewer. As you can see, if you film into the sun, anything in the foreground becomes a silhouette.
Always better to shoot with the light arriving directly on you. Of course, very sunny days like this can be very, very difficult because you get stark contrast between the light and of course the shadow on the floor. Again, if you're filming outside, reflective surfaces can be a big problem. As you can see, the sun bouncing off the car makes it much more difficult for the camera to deal with. Continuity can be a big problem when filming as well. So if I'm going to be filming going through the doorway, a number of things we have to take into consideration. Going through the door, but also the obvious, the camera being reflected in the window. When we look at a sequence just going through a door and into the house, what we have to be mindful of is again reflections, again the light, but also breaking it down to shots so that we can edit later on. So we look at wide shots and tight shots. Shots of the outside of the house will be called a setting shot. Another important issue is continuity. What's happening in the picture remains a constant. Otherwise, people spot differences in the background, in what you're wearing. As you can see, my glasses have gone. And now we have 2 vases instead of 1. Earlier we worried about what might be behind me if we were framing. As we said, keep things very simple and tight if we can for an interview. The problem with this picture is the things in the foreground that you're picking up. It's better when doing an interview, which you might do a lot of in a church, use a video, that we frame things quite tight and keep the camera very still. Again, keeping it simple. Well, Tony, tell me, what's your experience of using cameras? My main experience using cameras is filming sporting occasions. I was with Connecticut Rugby Club for 10 years, where I filmed all the matches and edited down scrums, line-outs and so on to edit performance.